Have you ever stopped to think that everything we know about human history might just be the tip of the iceberg? Imagine if the ancient Sumerian gods, known as the Anunnaki, were not just myths, but real figures, responsible for shaping the very essence of human civilization. From the creation of man to the greatest constructions of antiquity, the Anunnaki would have been behind everything, influencing kingdoms, leaving a legacy that echoes to this day. It's an idea that challenges everything we believe about our origins, but which also arouses irresistible curiosity. Is it possible that these ancient gods, supposedly from another world, were the true creators of humanity? And if so, what else could they have left behind, hidden in plain sight? On this journey, we'll explore the mysteries surrounding the Anunnaki, revealing a story that could change your view of humanity's past and future forever. Ready to discover the secrets of the gods who may have created the world as we know it? Imagine, for a moment, a civilization so ancient that its records defy time itself. The Anunnaki, mysterious figures from Sumerian mythology, are often portrayed as gods, but there is a theory that puts them on an even more fascinating level: ancient extraterrestrial beings. According to this theory, they were not mere deities created by the human imagination, but visitors from a distant planet beyond Pluto, known as Nibiru. This idea, which straddles the line between myth and science fiction, suggests that the Anunnaki arrived on Earth in search of precious resources such as gold. These beings, according to the theory, would have played a crucial role in the development of the first human civilizations. They not only taught us basic skills, but also advanced technologies that allowed us to build the foundations of modern society. If we stop to think about it, how would we explain impressive monuments such as the pyramids of Egypt without the help of knowledge that seemed to be beyond the capabilities of the people of that time? For many, the answer may lie in the Anunnaki, whose supposed visits would have ushered in an era of technological and cultural advancement. While modern science rejects the idea that extraterrestrials shaped our history, the theory of the Anunnaki as ancient aliens continues to captivate curious minds. It's easy to understand why. Imagine living in a time where gods walk among men, sharing secrets of the universe. This narrative resonates with the same force as the myths we find in other ancient cultures, such as the stories of the Greek and Roman gods, which equally influenced entire civilizations. The idea that our ancestors could have been guided by beings from another world makes us question how much we still don't know about our own history. However, it's worth remembering that this theory isn't just limited to the distant past. Today, we see how popular culture, through films, series, and books, continues to explore the possibility of extraterrestrial life influencing Earth. One example is the series Aliens from the Past, which has further popularized this theory by connecting the dots between ancient legends and modern hypotheses about visits from beings on other planets. The idea that the Anunnaki were the first visitors creates a bridge between the unknown of the past and the mystery of the future. And so, as we explore these theories, we realize that they lead us to a deeper reflection on the fine line that separates mythology from reality. Were the Anunnaki really aliens? Or were they just symbols created by ancient civilizations to explain the inexplicable? The mystery continues, as does our curiosity, as we venture deeper into ancient history, where myth and reality meet and intertwine in surprising ways. The fine line between myth and reality is fertile ground for discussions about the Anunnaki. For many, they are simply mythological characters created by the ancient Sumerians to explain the mysteries of the universe and the forces of nature. Like other gods in Greek, Egyptian, or Norse mythology, the Anunnaki represented aspects of life that humans could not fully understand. However, there are those who believe that these Sumerian gods were actually real, extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth and tangibly influenced the course of human history. Those who defend the idea of the Anunnaki as mythological beings point to ancient texts and artistic representations that depict them as divine figures. In these narratives, the Anunnaki interact with humans in ways that seem more symbolic than real, such as in the creation of humanity or in granting favors to chosen kings. According to skeptics, these stories are just a way of explaining natural phenomena or justifying the power of kings who claim to be descendants of the gods. This is a common perspective in the analysis of myths and legends from other ancient cultures, where the line between the divine and the human is deliberately blurred. On the other hand, supporters of the hypothesis that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrial beings suggest that these mythological narratives could be ancient interpretations of real events. According to this view, the Sumerians, in describing the Anunnaki as gods, were trying to explain visits from beings of incomprehensible technology and power for their time. These visitors would have shared advanced knowledge and directly influenced the development of human civilization. Mythology, in this case, would be a codified way of recording encounters that challenge the understanding of ancient peoples, similar to what we see in tales about gods and heroes from other cultures. The search for evidence that could turn these myths into reality has led scholars to explore ancient structures and texts, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh or the clay tablets of Sumer. Some theorists believe that the accounts in these texts, such as the architectural details of ziggurats or precise descriptions of the cosmos, indicate advanced knowledge that would have been impossible without outside help. They see the pyramids of Egypt, for example, not just as grandiose tombs, but as possible technological legacies of the Anunnaki, built with the help of extraterrestrial technologies or knowledge. The dichotomy between myth and reality in the case of the Anunnaki continues to instigate curiosity and debate. The idea that beings from another world could have shaped human history challenges the boundaries of what we consider possible. However, as with any narrative that crosses into the realm of the fantastic, it is difficult to separate what could be a description of real events from what is merely a symbolic or mythological construction. And it is precisely this mixture of legend and reality that keeps interest in the Anunnaki alive, leading us to question the extent to which the stories we hear and tell may hide truths that have yet to be uncovered. When it comes to the Anunnaki, one of the most intriguing questions is the possible influence of these beings on the great architectural achievements of antiquity. Imagine the pyramids of Egypt, those gigantic structures that defy even modern technology. How could the ancient Egyptians, without the tools and machines we have today, have built something so monumental? For some, the answer lies with the Anunnaki. They would have shared advanced knowledge, allowing these wonders to be built. And it's not just the pyramids that arouse this curiosity. Structures like Stonehenge, whose colossal stones were erected with astonishing precision, also come into this discussion. Some suggest that these ancient constructions, aligned so precisely with astronomical events, could only have been designed with knowledge that far exceeded what humans of the time were believed to have possessed. The Anunnaki, with their supposed extraterrestrial wisdom, could have taught these secrets to the ancient peoples, guiding them in the creation of monuments that still baffle us today. In fact, the relationship between heaven and earth, so important in ancient religions, could have been more than symbolic. Perhaps these monuments are visible legacies of a direct interaction with beings from another world, a message carved in stone that spans the millennia. The influence of the Anunnaki is not only limited to architecture. There are also theories linking them to the development of complex systems of writing, mathematics, and astronomy. The Sumerians, for example, are often credited with inventing cuneiform writing, one of the oldest known writing systems. This form of written communication, which enabled the recording of stories, laws, and knowledge, may have been inspired, or even taught, by the Anunnaki. The idea is that these beings brought with them knowledge that accelerated human development, laying the foundations for the civilizations that would follow. It's interesting to note that many ancient cultures attribute their achievements to divine or semi-divine beings. In Egypt, the pharaohs were considered gods on earth, often related to the sun god Ra. In Greece, mythological heroes such as Hercules were children of the gods and possessed extraordinary abilities. Could these legends be echoes of a deeper truth? If the Anunnaki really existed and played such an important role, their influences would be present not only in physical structures, but in the entire cultural and spiritual fabric of ancient civilizations. The idea that human civilization was influenced by beings from another world, who helped us erect monuments and develop knowledge that is still admirable today, is both fascinating and provocative. It raises questions about what we really know about our origins and to what extent the story that has been handed down to us is just one part of a much broader and more complex narrative. And while these questions persist, we are led to take a closer look at ancient civilizations and the legends they have left us, in the hope of discovering the secrets that may still be hidden among the stones and scrolls of the past. Among the many theories associated with the Anunnaki, perhaps one of the most controversial is the idea that these beings carried out genetic engineering experiments to create humanity. According to this view, the Anunnaki, on arriving on Earth, would have found primitive life forms, but decided to create a hybrid race that could serve their purposes. Using their advanced technology, they would have manipulated the DNA of these creatures, resulting in the first humans, designed to serve as workers in the extraction of resources, such as gold, which they so desired. This narrative places the Anunnaki in the role of creators, shaping humanity according to their needs. The idea that humans were created through genetic engineering is not only fascinating, but also raises profound ethical and philosophical questions. If this theory is true, it suggests that our very existence is the result of an experiment carried out by extraterrestrial beings who saw us not as equals, but as tools to achieve their goals. This hypothesis has been compared to creation stories in other cultures, such as the Bible, where God creates Adam from the dust of the earth. The difference here is that instead of a benevolent deity, the creators were beings with much more pragmatic and less altruistic intentions. Many scholars reject this theory, pointing to the lack of concrete evidence to support it. Modern science has found no signs of genetic manipulation in our DNA that can be attributed to an external intervention of this kind. However, proponents of the theory argue that gaps in our understanding of evolutionary history could be explained by this interference from the Anunnaki. They point to rapid evolutionary leaps, such as the emergence of language and human consciousness, as possible indicators that something or someone accelerated our development in an unnatural way. Furthermore, this theory resonates with the idea of gods who walk among men, present in so many mythologies around the world. The Nephilim, for example, mentioned in the Bible as the giants descended from sons of God and daughters of men, are often interpreted by some theorists as the fruits of these genetic experiments. If these beings, mentioned in so many legends, really existed, could they be the direct result of the Anunnaki's manipulations? This line of thought leads us to reconsider ancient stories in a new light, looking for signs of a more complex and technologically advanced past than we generally imagine. Despite the controversy and lack of scientific consensus, the theory of the genetic engineering of the Anunnaki continues to capture the imagination of many. It challenges us to think beyond conventional explanations for the origin of humanity and to consider possibilities that, although unlikely, are nonetheless captivating. And so the myth of the Anunnaki intertwines with questions about our own identity, origin, and purpose, leaving us to question the extent to which our history is truly our own, or whether we are the product of forces we have only just begun to understand. The influence of the Anunnaki is not limited to ancient legends. It extends deep into the culture and mythology that have shaped various civilizations over the millennia. One intriguing example is the connection between the Anunnaki and the Nephilim, figures mentioned in the Bible who, according to some interpretations, were descendants of these extraterrestrial beings and human women. These giants, described as powerful and fearsome, could be a distorted reminder of the Anunnaki's influence on Earth, perpetuated in narratives that echo through the generations. The impact of these beings, if real, would have reverberated not only in architecture and technology, but also in the spiritual and mythological traditions of ancient cultures. This cultural influence of the Anunnaki can also be seen in other myths and legends, where divine or semi-divine beings interact with humanity, often leaving descendants who become heroes or prominent figures in history. Heroes like Gilgamesh, who is 2 parts god and 1 part man, can be interpreted as echoing the idea of a hybrid lineage between humans and Anunnaki. And this same idea is repeated in other mythologies, such as the Greek demigods, children of Zeus, and mortals, who carry extraordinary powers. These recurring patterns suggest that the idea of divine beings directly influencing human destiny is a constant in the histories of various civilizations. In modern culture, the legacy of the Anunnaki continues to thrive, inspiring a variety of works in different media. From books such as Zecharia Sitchin's The 12th Planet, which popularized the theory of the Anunnaki as ancient aliens, to films and series that explore the idea of extraterrestrial gods, the figure of the Anunnaki is constantly reimagined and reinterpreted. Video games aren't left out either, with characters and stories based on these ancient legends, creating a bridge between the mythological past and contemporary science fiction. This ongoing interest reflects a persistent fascination with the mystery of our origins and the possibility that our history is part of something much bigger and older than we realize. Beyond entertainment, the concept of the Anunnaki permeates discussions in online communities and conspiracy theories, where they are often cited in debates about the origin of humanity and the role of extraterrestrial beings in the development of civilization. For many, the Anunnaki represent the key to understanding the unsolved mysteries of ancient history. Their supposed interventions are seen as the basis for various beliefs about lost civilizations, forgotten technologies, and hidden knowledge. These theories, although marginalized by much of academia, continue to capture the imagination and challenge the conventional narrative of history. Ultimately, the legacy of the Anunnaki is a testament to the enduring power of mythology and the ability of stories to transcend time and space. Whether they are seen as gods, aliens, or simple inventions of the human mind, the Anunnaki remain a fundamental part of the cultural mosaic that makes up humanity's heritage. And this heritage, like the stories of the Anunnaki themselves, continues to evolve, inspiring new generations to explore the boundaries between myth and reality, and to seek answers to the questions that have continued to puzzle humanity since the dawn of civilization. The connection between the Anunnaki and ancient texts is one of the keys to understanding how these beings became so ingrained in human history and mythology. The first mentions of the Anunnaki appear in ancient Sumerian clay tablets, which date back to around 4000 BC, especially in epic texts such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Enuma Elish. In these texts, the Anunnaki are often described as powerful gods who ruled both heaven and earth, and played crucial roles in the creation of humanity and the administration of human destinies. The impact of these writings is profound, as they shaped the way later civilizations would understand the relationship between gods and humans. The Enuma Elish, for example, details the creation of the world by the gods, and in it, the Anunnaki are described as beings who work alongside Marduk, the supreme god of Babylon, to organize the cosmos and establish order on Earth. This myth, as well as outlining the cosmological beliefs of the Babylonians, suggests that the Anunnaki were not just distant gods, but were also directly involved in earthly affairs, acting as mediators between the divine and the mortal. This role of the Anunnaki, as architects of both heaven and earth, solidifies their importance not only in mythology, but also in the religious practices of ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. In addition to Mesopotamian texts, the Anunnaki are also mentioned in other ancient writings, such as Akkadian and Assyrian texts. In many of these documents, the Anunnaki are portrayed as judges of the underworld, responsible for maintaining the balance between the forces of good and evil. This role as judges reflects the ancients' view of divine justice and destiny, concepts that were later incorporated into various other cultures. The recurring presence of the Anunnaki in these texts suggests that they were seen as central figures in understanding the universe and interpreting the role of the gods in human destiny. The study of these ancient texts continues to be a source of fascination for historians, archaeologists, and theorists from the most diverse fields. The analysis of Sumerian and Babylonian tablets reveals not only the beliefs of the ancients, but also offers clues as to how these myths were transmitted and adapted by other cultures. For example, some scholars argue that certain aspects of the Anunnaki may have influenced Judeo-Christian conceptions of angels and demons, especially in apocryphal texts such as the Book of Enoch, where celestial beings descend to Earth and interact with humanity in ways reminiscent of descriptions of the Anunnaki. The connection between the Anunnaki and ancient texts is not just an exploration of myths and legends. It is a window into the ancient world, where the lines between history, religion, and mythology were blurred. These texts bear witness to how human beings, from time immemorial, have sought to understand the cosmos and their place in it. And it is precisely this search that keeps interest in the Anunnaki alive, leading us to revisit these ancient stories in search of understanding and perhaps even new revelations about our past and the forces that shaped civilization. Modern interpretations of the Anunnaki show how these ancient figures continue to captivate the collective imagination. In recent times, the Anunnaki have become the protagonists of countless conspiracy theories and speculations about the true history of humanity. In the digital age, they have been given new life through films, television series, books, and even video games, where they are portrayed as ancient gods, advanced aliens, or even ancestors of humanity. This revitalization of the Anunnaki in modern media reflects a growing fascination with themes that explore our origins and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The cultural impact of the Anunnaki in modern times can be seen in works such as Prometheus, the Ridley Scott film that explores the idea that humanity was created by a race of extraterrestrial engineers. Although the film doesn't directly mention the Anunnaki, it clearly draws on themes and narratives that echo ancient Sumerian legend. The idea that beings from another planet could have influenced or even created life on Earth resonates strongly in contemporary popular culture, fueling discussions about our past and the future of space exploration. Beyond entertainment, the Anunnaki are also frequently mentioned in conspiracy theory circles, where they are presented as the true architects of human civilization. These theories suggest that the Anunnaki still have influence over the fate of the Earth, secretly controlling governments or manipulating global events. This line of thought, although largely discredited by science, continues to attract followers, mainly due to the appeal of a narrative that mixes mystery, occult power, and the eternal search for answers to profound questions about our existence. Another field where the Anunnaki have been reinterpreted is modern spirituality, particularly in movements that seek a connection between ancient traditions and contemporary spirituality. Some strands of esotericism and the New Age see the Anunnaki as spiritual or interdimensional beings who can still influence the physical plane today. These beliefs adapt ancient Sumerian myths to fit into a modern spiritual context, where the Anunnaki are seen as guides or beings who can help humanity reach a new level of consciousness. The fact is that modern interpretations of the Anunnaki are as varied as the cultures that produce them. From divine beings to ingenious extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki remain enigmatic figures who provoke questions about the true nature of human history. This constant reinvention of the Anunnaki demonstrates their ability to transcend time and cultures, remaining relevant and intriguing even in a world where science and technology dominate the narratives. And so the myths of the Anunnaki continue to evolve, inspiring new generations to explore what is known, while leaving us with an eternal mystery about what may lie beyond. The idea that 8 ancient kings ruled the earth for a combined 241,200 years before the Great Flood is one of the most extraordinary claims found in the Sumerian king list. This ancient document, engraved on clay tablets, is not only a chronology of reigns, but also a mystery that defies conventional notions of time and history. The list mentions that these kings were somehow connected to the Anunnaki, and their reign was described as an almost mythical period where time was not measured in the same way as we know it today. The incredible longevity of these kings, if interpreted literally, suggests a reality where beings with supernatural powers or knowledge ruled the world. This idea of kings who ruled for thousands of years fuels various theories about the true nature of the Anunnaki. For some, these extraordinarily long reigns are evidence that the Anunnaki were not just earthly rulers, but beings with a lifespan far beyond our own, possibly immortal or with access to technologies that slowed down aging. This reinforces the belief that the Anunnaki were in fact extraterrestrials, whose perception of time and longevity was completely different from ours. In a world where time was perceived in such a different way, these kings could have been Anunnaki living among humans or direct descendants of them, possibly hybrids with abilities beyond human comprehension. The longevity of these kings also raises questions about the authenticity and intention behind the Sumerian king list. Some scholars suggest that these long reigns may not be literal, but symbolic, representing eras of stability or divine ages where humanity was under the direct tutelage of the gods. Others believe that the list could have been a way of legitimizing the power of the Sumerian kings, associating their lineages with a divine and almost eternal past. This use of time as a symbol of power and divinity is something we see repeated in other ancient cultures, where kings and gods are often described as living for impossibly long periods. The narrative of these long reigns also connects the Anunnaki to a series of other myths of longevity that permeate human history. From Methuselah in biblical tradition, who is said to have lived for 969 years, to the myths of advanced civilizations like Atlantis, where the inhabitants supposedly lived for thousands of years, the idea of a long and prosperous life is a recurring theme. Whether these stories have any basis in reality or are just the product of human imagination is a question that continues to inspire debate. However, what is clear is that the Sumerian king list, with its claims of incredibly long reigns, keeps alive the idea that there was a golden age where time was measured differently and where extraordinary beings walked among men. This period of 241,200 years, real or symbolic, is an essential part of the myth of the Anunnaki and the way they are seen in the context of human history. It invites us to question our own perceptions of time, power, and divinity, and to consider the possibility that our history may be much older and more complex than we imagine. And so, as the Sumerian king list continues to be studied and interpreted, it keeps us intrigued by the idea of a lost era, ruled by beings who challenge our understanding of what it means to be human. Throughout this journey, we explore the possibility that the Anunnaki, these ancient gods, may have been the true architects of humanity, shaping our origins and influencing civilizations in ways that still challenge us to understand today. If these stories are more than myths, what does this mean for our understanding of who we are and where we came from? And more importantly, what will you do with this knowledge? Think about the implications of such an ancient and powerful story, where reality mixes with myth and the past may hold the keys to our future. So, what do you believe? Did the Anunnaki really walk among us? Or is it all just a fascinating fantasy? Either way, this reflection leads us to question what is true and what is possible. Perhaps it's time to look at the past with new eyes, searching for the answers that may be hidden in ancient legends and mysteries. And speaking of new discoveries, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any new content about mythology, ancient civilizations, and the enigmas that continue to intrigue humanity. Let's continue to explore these mysteries together and uncover the secrets that have shaped our world.